Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to AM Rugby. Kicking things off, I got to interview England's number 7, James Haskell, on his new book. It was brilliant that James took time out of his busy schedule to answer some of my questions on an introduction to becoming and remaining rugby fit. It is a must buy for anyone looking at becoming a pro rugby player. At a mere $9.95, there's no excuse at not owning this book. It's like a 13-segment programme covering nutrition, warm-ups, cardio and recovery. If you rush to jameshaskell.com now, you might even get a signed copy. Anyway, I started the interview by asking James how his foot was doing.
Yeah, it's alright actually. It's about 10 days post-surgery now, so the pain stopped, which is good. It wasn't as painful for as long as I thought it was going to be. Obviously I enjoyed the painkillers while I was taking them, but yeah, it's good actually. It's probably getting to the point now where it's so pain-free that I want to keep putting it down, but I'm not allowed to put it on the floor probably for another 7 or 8 weeks. But I'm happy. It seems to have gone well, touch wood, and I'm seeing the surgeon soon to have the plaster and the stitches removed.
That's brilliant. So are you still doing rehabilitation at the moment?
No, I'm not doing anything at the moment, just for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because it's such a fiddly operation, it's going to take a long time for me to be able to put weight through my foot. I can't do anything that gets me hot and sweaty because they want the wound to heal because it's covered with a plaster. I'm not able to take that off like you would if you're wearing a boot and stuff, which I will go into eventually. So I've had 2 weeks of rest. It's actually quite nice because it's given my body a chance to rest. I had a couple of problems with my shoulders. My neck was pretty sore, so I've just been waiting on hand and foot with my beautiful and kind girlfriend. I've driven her up the wall, so my relationship's probably not that great, but my foot and body are feeling fantastic.
Do you know what sort of rehabilitation they'll be getting you to do and how intense it will be? Yeah,
so rehabilitation is always harder than any training you do. A lot of people don't do their rehab when they've had injuries. A lot of people go on the NHS or have surgery, or young players have surgery. They go and see their doctor says it's healed, they never do the work that's required to get back to full fitness. And the issue is that you need to make sure that you do the rehab. A, because it's an opportunity to come back better than you were before, and B, because you want to protect against having an injury again. Obviously with an injury like this, so my foot, obviously I'm going to get muscle wasting in my quad, my hamstring, both my legs. I'll lose weight, a little bit because I'm not able to fit. My cardiovascular fitness will drop down, so I will end up doing a lot of stuff of getting the foot, toe moving, strengthening my foot, strengthening my tendons, getting my toe moving. I'll then have to rebuild my legs. I'll then have to learn to walk again properly, which will take time, and then probably I'll have to go through a routine of building up strength in my leg and everything else again.
Well, that sounds like quite a lot then. So
it's going to be probably four to 6 months, and it'll be horrific. At the moment, because we can't do anything as we build up, it's going to be a little bit each week. But before that, it'll probably be 5 to 6 days a week doing training. I'll obviously go and see people outside of WASPs to do my rehab as well, because as I said, it's an opportunity to come back better than you were before.
Well, I hope it all gets better for you. So
thank you.
I'm going to be looking forward to see you back full fitness for the next WASP season. Talking about that, you had a great season last season. How was it to work for Diane?
Yeah, it's good. Di's a fantastic coach. He's a guy that really knows how to get the best out of me and his players. He's got a very dry sense of humour. So, he's always putting me in my place, which I find very funny. He's great. He's given me a lot of responsibility. He's seen faith in me to make me captain, which is great. I think I'm one of those people who's possibly seen as a bit of a liability in the past in terms of giving responsibility. A lot of people like to have their captains as quite vanilla, as unthreatening, but I'm a big believer that you don't get anywhere in sport or life if you're a plain Jane. So I've tried to make sure that I've led by example, and it's got the best out of me, really.
That's great. Obviously, for my website, I'm looking to give teens advice on how to progress and get to where you are. One of my first ever WASPs coach, Russell Bolton, who is now the first coach for Maidenhead, which is where you started, obviously. And I was wondering how long it took before people started seeing you as a standout player, or were you always above everyone else?
No, I don't think I was ever very good at rugby, to be honest with you. I never wanted to be a rugby player. I think that this is the best piece of advice I could give to any aspiring player, is that make sure you enjoy your rugby, play every sport you can possibly play, do your school work, do your school plays, do everything you can possibly do, so you've got a rich kind of background and experience, because becoming a professional rugby player is such a very fine margin, and there's people who live and breathe it every day and don't get anywhere close to it. I always think that I was an okay player. It was only really when I went to Wellington College did I start taking my rugby a lot more seriously, because all the kids around me took it seriously. Now I go and coach kids, and because they've got access to social media and 15 sports channel or however many it is, they see it and live it and breathe it all the time. So I didn't really have that until I was about 13, 14. So I kind of went along, and Wellington was a good rugby school and a good sports school. I kind of got into the mix there, but I was never a standout player. And I think if you asked people honestly, probably up until the age of 21, I don't think they ever said I would have played for England or been had the career I've had.
Okay, so did you play any other positions, or was it always back row for you?
No, I started off as a prop when I was at school, and then I played second row a lot. I played number 8 a lot. I then was made a flanker when I went to Wellington. And I've ended up playing all 3 positions in the back row. I think it's a really good thing. Sometimes journalists and people ask me, what position is your best position? At the end of the day, my versatility's meant that I've got 70 caps. If I played in one position, I think it would have narrowed down my chances. And also, people love to kind of complain about different positions and what different back row things have to do and everything else like that. And I quite like just disproving it. It's quite a good feeling.
Yeah. Like when you were younger, did you also get kind of persuaded into, well, not obviously smoking, but that sort of thing, the party sort of life, the drinking?
Yeah, I mean, look, I was a normal teenager like most people would be. I think I probably, when I was about 17 onwards, I kind of went really professional in terms of not really drinking a lot, training a lot. I was training twice a week at school with a personal trainer. I was doing fitness. I was training on my holidays. I would go. I'd go to Las Vegas and have 5 days with the boys, but I trained still stupidly now probably through that period of time. I'd go and have a few drinks, and the next day wake up with a few demons and go and do training with my best friend. We'd do it here, or we'd do it in the fields, or we'd go down to the football club with terrible hangovers. So yeah, but I would drink. I tried smoking. I did all those kind of things. I mean, everybody does. It doesn't matter what you say to people. They find their own. They find their own path, but at the end of the day, if you want to be a professional sportsman, or you want to be anything in life, you have to make the sacrifice and put the time in. And the people who do put the time in succeed. And I think there's a big thing for me personally, about natural talent versus hard work. And I don't think I'm particularly naturally talented, but I think I've had a good work ethic in everything I've done, and that's kind of meant that I've overcome any shortcomings I had in ability.
Well, yeah, obviously, I mean, you stand head and shoulders, like in the recent series win over Australia. You were clearly outstanding, and I would say the best I've ever seen you play. I mean, how have you trained for that? Just hard work and grit?
Yeah, I mean, I think every day you've got to live your life as a professional sportsman. You don't really have time to switch off. You've always got to be keen to keep improving. So I've always done that with my rugby. I've always looked to improve, every day, doing 10 minutes on my game. I've also made sure that I enjoyed myself, and I think the big factor was Eddie Jones in the mix. Treating me like an adult, giving me responsibilities. Appreciating that I played around the world and done different things, and I just felt wanted and respected. And I think the mental side of sport is a huge one. I've been seeing a sports psychologist since I was 18, and working with her and working with a couple of other people meant that I was in a really good place and enjoying what I was doing. Yeah.
Talking about you travelling around the world for your rugby, you must have had some personality clashes with people, and how have you dealt with those sort of situations?
To be honest with you, I haven't really. Well, I say I haven't really. I'm not from my side. I think the big thing is there's a lot of stuff written about me. A lot of people have this impression of me, which there's no smoke without fire. But I wouldn't have been able to play around the world, play in the different clubs I would be if I was, had a bad personality and didn't have a good work ethic. And I think, luckily everywhere I've been hasn't judged the book by its cover. They've given me the opportunity, and I've never had any problems with anyone. I'd like to think I'm welcome back wherever I go, because I think people confuse the fact that I enjoy having a bit of chat, or I've got a bit of a sharp tongue, or I do business stuff or self-promotion stuff. My fundamentals are playing rugby. My fundamentals are hard work and trying to learn and fit into any team. So, you know, when I moved to Dunedin in the bottom of New Zealand, there was no, you know, there was nothing really to do around there, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's be too quiet for you because you're a bit of a pike." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I just did boxing and training. I went fishing and hunting. That's what I did there. You know, went to Paris again. It was hard work. Japan on my own. You know, didn't speak the language and anything. Just met up with some friends. Was tried to be super professional, and it kind of all came off. You know."
Yeah. But you mentioned like you were started training around 17, 18. What sort of age did you start picking up weights and stuff?
I started when I was 15. I started picking up weights when I was 15. I did England under 16s trial. I didn't get in. I was devastated. I found it very disappointing, and I thought my sort of world was over. Even though I didn't want to be a professional rugby player at that stage, it was because I'd gone into something, and for most of my life I'd been very lucky and privileged. It was the first kind of real disappointment I'd had. That my old man kind of said to me, you know, you can either see it as a loss or disappointment, give up, or you can, you know, go away, train hard, and come back the next year and get into England under 18s. And I, you know, that's what I did. So we had a friend of the family who was a personal trainer. He used to come down to Wellington, taught me to lift weights, and you know, I didn't know a lot. You know, if I knew what I knew now, I would do things slightly differently. I wouldn't be so weight obsessed. I'd be a lot more body weight work, a lot more stuff like that. But I would. Yeah, I mean, I would say that's a good age. It depends. There's so much written about whether it's good for you, bad for you, whether you should start. It's down to the individual, really. But I think a lot of young players have become obsessed with lifting weights and getting big. They don't ever do any body weight work. They don't worry about, you know, fitness, decision making, technique, all those kind of things that are far more important than being massive. And
like, did you ever use kettlebells, and like, what would your sort of preference be on them?
I've used kettlebells in my training. I didn't use them when they were then. I think, look, you know, there's loads of stuff about different types of training equipment and things that people recommend. I think that, you know, I think they have their place if you want to use them. I'm not obsessed by them. I think if you spoke to personal trainers out there, they'd probably find people who prefer them over normal dumbbells. But look, you know, you've got the equipment in the gym. You should try and use as much of it as you can, because, you know, there's no one miracle item.
Okay, so now we're getting onto your books. Okay, so we picked some of this up from your
office down
there. It looks quite impressive, and we were looking at it. Where would people who are watching this be able to get this?
Really simply, so we've got a couple of versions of that. We've got an ebook, so we've got a James Haskell Health and Fitness app that you can download to your iPhone, so you can access it in the gym. You can look at it on your computer online, or if you want a hard copy, you just go to my website, www.jameshaskell.com, which will find a copy of the book there. You know, it's basically all my thoughts and experiences in 14 years of playing professional rugby put into a book. I've worked with some of the best trainers in the world, and it's kind of, you know, all those kind of ideas and stuff which have really helped me be the rugby player I am today. And it's basically, there's so much rubbish out there given to young players, male or female, and they don't really know what they're doing. So this is hopefully going to be their Bible, you know.
Yeah. I've been told that your dad gave you some great advice when you were younger. Well, similar to the advice my dad gives me. Namely, to have the wisdom to know what you can change and what I can't. But I believe your dad told you to be honest with yourself.
His expression was, he says, you can lie to everyone else, but you can't lie to yourself. So basically, you know, he means that you can tell people you've trained, you've worked hard, you're committed, that you're not scared of making tackles, that you want to perform, you want to do this, but ultimately only you know whether you're telling the truth or not. And that's the most important thing, and that's why I think social media and stuff's great in some reasons but bad in others, because, you know, people go online and seek affirmation and tell people stories. You know, people live up dreams on Instagram pretending they own fast cars and do all this kind of stuff, but when the lights go off and the phone goes off, you're only left with your own thoughts. And if you know you're talking rubbish and you aren't committed, then that's the truth. So I always try to make sure that I'm honest with myself, you know.
That's great. Has Owen Farrell, your bestie, come and visited you since you...
Unbelievably, he hasn't come and visited me. I don't know why. I keep messaging him, but I think his phone might be off in America. But he'll probably be. He probably will come and visit me. Well, I hope so. You know, because we are very, very best mates.
Are you going to go on holiday with him this year or not?
I tried to. I mean, again, I was in Ibiza. There was an invitation for him. He did text me, said he was going to meet me, but I think there's probably problems with the flights, or some ring because he wouldn't let me down, but at the end I had to take my girlfriend, and it wasn't quite the same. But you know, I'm sure he'll call me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was kind of wondering because I've heard you're a great Ricky Gervais fan. What's that all about?
I just think, you know, for me, he's a comedy genius. You know, I think the whole thing he did with The Office and extras and all the kind of things he does are very awkward, very tongue-in-cheek. You know, I'm a big comedy fan. I grew up watching, you know, Fawlty Towers, Dad's Army, Porridge, all the kind of things your old man will probably know about. You know, I love Ricky Gervais, I love The Office. So I don't know, whenever I do any comedy, I kind of maybe channel him a little bit, and people, you know, people on my Facebook wall and everything that kind of point out, oh, very Brent. I'm like, yeah, that's the point. Like, I'm not doing it by accident. So I don't know why. I just, you know, he seems to do it well, so why not copy him?
Yeah. If we were to pretend the Wasps team was a Wernham Hogg paper company, and you played the part of David, who would be Tim and Gareth?
I think Matt Mullen would be Tim, and Gareth. Oh, and actually, to be fair, I actually said that Matt Mullen was Gareth because he always says he's assistant captain. I always remind him that he's assistant to the captain. So I'm trying to think who Tim would be. Tim. Let me think who Tim would be. This is an interesting one here. Which is a Tim-like character? I say Joe Cooper Woody's a bit like Tim.
Except for they're both much bigger than props.
Yeah, unfortunately we haven't got anyone weedy or small like Gareth or a bit weird like Tim, unfortunately.
Yeah. I was going to say Wade, but then I thought actually no.
No, he wouldn't fit in either. He's neither both, and he's a bit too cool for The Office, unfortunately.
Yeah. Even though he's probably the smallest person there. I mean, when we went to the end of year awards, I was very tempted. I was asking my dad to buy the shirt because it was probably the only one that would have fitted me.
Yeah, but you'll grow out of it one day. Where do you stay exactly? It's going to stay exactly the same size for the rest of the time.
When I told people on like the Wasps Facebook forum about me coming to talk to you, I got a reply from David Patching, and he said a question that I should ask you is: if you could turn back time, what advice would you give the young you?
The advice I'd probably give to me would be work on my mobility a lot more. I would spend time not stretching, but doing some dynamic mobility. But have confidence in myself, believe how good a player I was, and also to make sure that every time I take the field I enjoy what I do, you know, and be hungry to enjoy it, because, you know, 1 minute you're 21 and suddenly you're 31, you know.
Yeah. I believe obviously that with rugby teams that you can have certain key players that make a difference. So like Andy Good going to Newcastle Falcons last year and made a huge impact. Also with the coaching staff, we can see what Eddie Jones has done. What did he do different to Stuart Lancaster?
I think for me the biggest difference was the way he treats the players, in terms of treating them like adults, making sure that they you know, able to express themselves, and also the way he kind of talks to us. You know, he knows that some players need an arm around them, other players need you know, need the stick. Some people like that kind of confrontation, other people like to be told that they're very good. You know, he's constantly, you know, managing everybody, talking to everyone. He's a constant presence, and everything runs through him. You know, so I just think that, you know, he's created an environment where people really want to play for him, believe in him, and he's a very good man.
I don't know.
So I tried to cause some mischief by asking Hask his World 15. My mistake was that I should have said current World 15, as most of his players were out of date. Surprisingly, he did have one current player, but it wasn't his best mate Faz.
That's a good question. Well, I have to put myself in the back row, obviously. I don't know. I honestly don't know. There's so many good players to pick from. I put Billy V in there. I would. It's difficult. I'm going to stitch all my mates up here. That's the problem. I'll go for some positions where I probably put Dan Carter in at 10. You know, in his sort of prime. Mar Nonu I'd have in there. Rapini Thao I'd bring back. I'd get him fit and put him there. I would have. Mate, it's a real tricky one. I'm trying to think. I'd probably have Alassane Tuolangi on one wing, and I'd have who's an unbelievable finisher. I don't know, maybe like a young Doug Howlett or something on one wing. Scrum half, I'd have. I would have had Joos van der Westhuizen probably, or I'm trying to think who else I would have had in the mix. You're testing me with this one, but I would say those players are the key ones.
Yeah. Napola, number 8. How challenged do you think his position will be now that, well, not now, but when Nathan Hughes is eligible to play?
I think there's always a challenge. You know, I think that's a good thing for every player. You know, Eddie's made it very clear that it's an aspirational environment, and that you're only as good as your last game, and you've got to keep turning up and playing, and have a desire to keep learning, become a better player. I think that Eddie, he's already talked about, from what I see in the papers, about playing Nathan at 6. So they'll move players around and use them in different ways. But luckily that's his problem to worry about, not mine.
So, would most rugby players today not be able to retire comfortably, or would they have to go and look out to get a job after it?
Oh, 100%. I don't know one, well, apart from Johnny Wilkinson, Dan Carter, and a few others, I don't know anyone that can just, maybe Rich McCall, I don't know anyone that can retire without having to go and find another job and do something different.
The back row stars, who are your inspirations? Would it be like Richie McCaw?
Yeah, Richie McCaw was a massive inspiration of mine. Richard Hill, Jerry Collins, Michael Hooper actually, Pocock. I'm trying to think who else I really aspired to those guys. Obviously Lawrence D'Alio as well. All those kind of guys. Joe Worsley were all inspiration to me when I was coming up.
So Pocock. Well, I like how you treat your heroes with that.
Listen, you've got I don't know what to do. The guys in front of you, there's not a lot you can do. He's still, for me, he's still the best 7 in the world, or best back row player in the world. Joe's incredible. He's one of those guys that we played against. You deal with him at one breakdown, and you appear on the other side of the field turning the ball over. He's he's a lovely bloke as well, which is, makes it even better.
Well, you had your, like, as much as you've had your highs in rugby, you've also had some lows. Well, I guess one would be you not getting picked for England in 2009. How did you deal with the disappointment? And do you have like a coping mechanism, or is it?
I can't remember what happened in 2009. I think, do you know what? I think I didn't get picked because I went to France, and then I didn't miss a game. I didn't miss a game in the end. I think there was, the only time I've not got picked was when they didn't pick me for the, I was in the squad, but they didn't pick me for some autumn internationals, maybe 2010, maybe 2011, something like that. Look, I know what your point is basically through disappointments, how do I deal with it? I think that you have to compartmentalise that. You have to focus on what you can control and what you can't. I've got no control over selection. All I can do is go away and be the best rugby player I can be, is to work hard, and when you do get an opportunity, there's no point bitching and moaning, and when you get an opportunity, let yourself down. So it's about making sure that when you get a chance to play, you take the opportunity without going mental and trying to hit every breakdown, trying to hit every tackle. Play your normal game and have confidence that you put the work in, so you'll get the result you deserve.
Yeah. Thanks, James.
No problem, mate. Anytime, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you check out amrugby.com, and if any of you are wondering, this isn't a usual get up. I've just come back from fancy dress. I went as a clown.